Hello, and welcome back to the Praying Twice podcast. My name is Martin Doman, and I'm so excited to have you with us today. I have to start off the show today with a little disclaimer or sort of apology. I originally was planning to have Chris Paget as our first guest on the show, and we are going to have a guest today on the show. But we recorded his episode a couple weeks ago, and we've been editing it, and there's just been a technical glitch that's happened with the sound that happened during the recording, and we've tried to make it work, and it's just unsalvageable. So we're gonna have to retape the episode with Chris Paget and and do that and show that at a later time. So I apologize to those of you who were looking forward to that, but don't worry, we're gonna redo it this week and hopefully have it out to you in a couple more weeks. But that leads me to my next point, which is that we are going to have our first guest today. And it's actually really appropriate that we're having this particular guest. This is a person who's really, really close to my heart. If you remember in the story when I told you about my musical journey and how I encountered a musician when I was a teenager who just had a real heart and just was very authentic with his music. He would just write these songs and sing them just directly from his heart. And you could just tell it was real for him. And he's just a really, really authentic person, a really beautiful songwriter. His songs are so inspired. I've recorded some of his songs, so you may know the songs like Press On, My Lord and My God, Lord, I Belong to You. These are some of his songs, but he's got dozens of others. And I'm really excited to interview him today on the show. His name is Bob Filoramo. And so without any further ado, let's go over to my first guest on the Praying Twice podcast, Mr. Bob Filoramo.
Okay, welcome, Bob Filoramo, onto the show. I was just telling everybody how much I look up to you, and I've musically really been influenced by you. So we're really happy to have you here.
Thank you, Martin. It's great to be here for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. It's so funny. We don't talk often, but we have talked, and I've recorded 3 of your songs, I think. And so we do interact then. But other than that, it's been a while. So how's it going? How you doing?
Doing well. Life is good. I'm a grandfather now, which is great. It's a big part of my life right now, just being with my grandson and enjoying him. You can't imagine what it's like to have a grandchild. I know
I do. I'm a grandfather too.
Oh, you have a grandchild? Oh, geez.
I do. Yeah. See, he's given away. I'm a little younger than him.
Yeah, right.
You probably figured that out since I was a kid and listening to him play. But anyway, yeah, I'm a grandpa too. My daughter Grace has a baby, so it's wonderful.
It's amazing, right? It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. It's so good. We're not going to talk about grandpa stuff today, but it's really great.
Yep.
There's just a comment on that. It's like an echo of having your own child, right? It's like I like to think of it like that. Like, you have your own children, you delight in them, and then when they have a child, it's like you see a little bit of them, and it's just like another experience of the same joy.
It's amazing. Yep.
How's your wife like it? She's great. She loves it.
She's the same. Yeah, just love. We can't get enough time with the guy. Anything we can do to be with him. It's funny.
Sometimes it's overwhelming, having a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Yeah, my wife is like, I love it when she comes over, but sometimes we need a break.
Yep, exactly.
Meaning, like, my grandchild is also a little older, and I don't know, maybe a little older. How old is your grandbaby?
He's a year and a half now.
A year and a half. Okay, yeah, same. So my granddaughter is about almost 2, and she's a ball of energy.
Yep. But they go home, right? After a while.
Yep, that's right. So let's talk a little bit about your story and what your background is. I didn't really give much of bio for you. So if you just want to share a little bit about, like, just generally where you grew up, your family upbringing, and then just your first encounter with music, or maybe a few encounters along your journey of experiencing music, and specifically like the spiritual part of that for you.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, it's funny. I was listening to your podcast. I think it was your first one, and you were talking about your history with music and how you started, and like kind of growing up in a family that listened to a lot of music. My dad in particular was a big record guy. He would have records playing all the time, the old big black albums. Listened to a lot of Beatles and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young and all that kind of stuff. And he was a guy, when he would listen to music, he would sing along with it. Always, he'd be harmonizing with it, that kind of stuff. My dad has a very good voice, which I think he knows, but no one else knows. He's got a really good voice. So lots of music in the house. My mother was a piano player, like a really good piano player. Took many years of lessons, could play very well. We had a piano in our house. So music was like all around our house. And I loved it. And I used to love to listen to albums. John Denver was a big guy for me, Elton John. I used to love to like take like a pencil and make waves of microphone, stand in front of the mirror, and
Yeah, sure.
So anyway, so I took piano lessons. Never really liked it though. Just kind of didn't practice, gave up on it quick,
Same.
stuff like that.
Same.
Same thing. All right, yeah, very similar. I know. I listened to your story the other day. It was great. Then what happened was, much like you, we started to go into like these youth meetings. First in our parish, then in a larger community, and people had guitars there. And I just thought it was the coolest thing. And there was a guy for me. You had your guy. I guess it was me, but I had a guy.
It was. Let's be honest.
We all got guys. We got guys that inspire us. Yeah. Mike Manhart, who right?
Yeah, sure.
Got up there and just like as a kid started playing guitar and singing, and I'm like, holy crow, this is amazing, And I had totally admired his courage that he was just doing it like like it was nothing. And because I was up to that point, I was so shy about singing in front of anybody. I never wanted to, never anything in public. My parents would try to get me to sing something, I'd shy away from. But something about him, and something about him singing out and singing for the Lord, like I was like, holy crow, I want to do that. So I told my parents about it, and we actually saved up for a guitar. We had this little jug that was filled with coins. And when it got to a certain point, my mom's like, well, let's see how much is in there. We dumped it out. And it turned out to be just enough money to buy my first guitar.
What brand? I have to ask. What was the first?
It was called a Cortez.
Okay, Cortez. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, and I researched it. Actually, Martin kind of had something to do with making the Cortezes, but I think they were made in like Japan or something like that. But
okay,
we still have, my brother Joe plays it still to this day.
Oh, that's so cool.
So we bought this guitar, and I got a chord book, no lessons, just got a chord book, started playing chords, and started to, as you said in your podcast, find my voice, like find that I actually had a voice that could sing out, and that sounded half decent. It sounded pretty good, and I was like very excited. So started playing. I'll never forget, the first time I ever sang in front of anybody was actually we were just having dinner with my parents and another family, and my mom's like, hey, why don't you take the guitar out? I'm like, the usual teenager thing. So I took it out and I started singing a song that we've sung many times called Blessing and Glory. I started singing
great song.
Yeah, I just like belted it out in front of everybody, and everybody was like, whoa, and I was like probably 13, 14 years old. And it just changed me. Like, I was like, I want to do this. I want to just keep doing this. And I did. Like, I had many opportunities because there weren't a lot of people that played the guitar at that point that were willing to go step out and do that, like kind of sing publicly like that.
You're saying there weren't many people in your community, your faith community, or what was in your family?
Yeah, there was just, when the family, nobody. I was the only one who was playing and doing that kind of stuff. But then ultimately in the community that we were involved in, it was just a couple of kids that would do it. And I just I ended up doing it with this guy, with Mike Manhart. He and I would do it together. And then I started doing it more and more. And, one thing led to the other. And I just started like being kind of a person that was out there singing for God. And I remember one time thinking to myself, because I love music, I loved what music does for you and all that. And I remember thinking to myself, man, if you could be one of those people that sings for God, like how important must that be? Like that can actually make music and sing for God himself. Like it just blew me away, like the concept of it. And I thought, well, it's not for me, but I got into that path in my life, and somehow the good Lord brought me down that path, and it became like who I was. It was, it's an amazing thing that I'm so grateful for.
Yeah, if I can reminisce a little bit,
yeah.
I remember being in high school. Well, was I high school? Yes, I was in high school, and they back then they had the tapes, right? The cassette tapes. Yes. And I was involved in a different charismatic community. Like I'd mentioned in my story, my parents were involved in this kind of charismatic, kind of like a prayer group, I guess. It's like they'd get together on Sunday afternoons and pray, sing together and do things like that, do charismatic things. And there was a circulation of songs that was going through, the songbook. There was the Songs of Praise books, which were like the main, Bible of the praise and worship life. But then there were these People of Hope songbooks as well, which the People of Hope, of course, was the community that you and I both were part of at one point. And so these songs were in there, and I learned some of them, but then, of course they came with a tape, and I'm listening. I remember like it's yesterday. I'm driving somewhere, I think it was to work in the summer, and I'm listening to your songs, you singing your songs. on this tape, and I'm going, this guy's so good. He's just, it wasn't just that you were a good singer. I mean, you hear good singers all the time, right? You hear, I was listening to musicals. I mean, you heard good singers, but it was like something different. It wasn't just that you were skilled. It was like you had something else going on. It was the Holy Spirit, I think, but it was just this kind of authenticity. You could tell that you were doing it for real, I guess. Which it's hard to talk to someone about how they act real. But yeah, I mean, I remember being struck by that and being so blown away and being like, this guy's so good. And I couldn't stop listening. I mean, I wore that tape out.
Wow.
That was right around the time that you were talking about, like you started leading.
Yeah.
How did that develop? So eventually you're leading in front of like 1,000 people, right?
Yeah, there was some really crazy big experiences. Like I sang one time in front of, we were in, now it's called, I forget what it's called now, but it's basically where the Nets used to play, Continental Arena, they used to call it.
Okay.
And we had a rally in there that had to have like 7,000-8,000 people. And I was up there singing a song that I wrote.
What did you sing? What song did you do? Do you remember?
A song called Only for You.
I love that song.
Thank you.
You only for you. I love that song. Actually, I want to get a recording of that. Do you have it recorded?
I do, not officially, not like an album recording.
Oh no, I need the bootleg. I want the bootleg, dude.
Yeah,
I want to listen to that when I'm in the car. I love that song. Yeah. Yeah, it's a song from Jesus's perspective to us. Beautiful.
Yeah. But that's something like from there, from becoming this person that was willing to sing out, I really had this desire to write music. And I know you've talked about the songs I've written, and so what happened? Here's the funny story. The first song that I ever, I'll tell you this story. So my cousin had a baby. My cousin and his wife had a baby, and they were having a baptism. So I said to myself, why don't I write him a song? So I'm like, I'd never written a song before at all. So I went up into my bedroom and I wrote a song for them. It's called "Seek the King." It's actually on one of my albums.
I love that song. Oh my gosh, that's your first song. I think I knew that. I think I knew this was your first song. Yeah, we sung this anyway. I'll go on. Keep telling the story. I'll get back.
But the funny part of the story is, so we had the baptism actually in my aunt's house. Like the priest came to the house, whatever. So I'm there, and I brought my guitar, and I played a couple of songs because they asked me to play a couple of songs, and then I was going to sing the song that I wrote, and I chickened out. I didn't sing it.
No way.
I never ever sang it.
So you sang other songs, but not your own song.
Yeah, just like stuff, from the
That's a great song, dude. You should have done it. Well, you know it's a good song because.
Well, thank you.
White people probably told you that it's a good song, but anyway, it's a wonderful song.
Well,
I did not know that it was written for a baby.
It was for her.
It was
baptism.
like a kind of like here's how you should live kind of thing.
Yep. Seek the King with all your heart, may he be your strength. And I just never did it. So eventually, as years went on, I actually sent her a recording of it. I said, just so you know, I wrote this as an adult, whatever. As I wrote this for your baptism, but I checked it out, never sang it. So anyway.
Funny. When you did play it again, obviously, or I would never have heard it.
I did, yeah. I'm not really sure when and where. I think I used to just kind of, when we were gathered around, we did a lot of things like where when I was young adults and in my early college years, where we would just kind of on a Saturday night just sit around and grab guitars and sing songs and stuff like that. And a lot of times I would say, yeah, I wrote this one, and kind of.
No, I heard this song. I must have heard it live or something.
You may have. I mean, from then it became
from
like
you,
more,
yeah. But I mean, this is so funny. I have we have so many stories. I made a mixtape for my wife when we were dating. And how old are you? I'm 50. How old are you right now?
Just turned 60.
Wow. So we're 10 years apart. Okay.
Yeah. So you're my brother Mark.
Sorry to out you there. There you go.
That's okay.
We're old.
I'm proud of it.
Anyway, so 10 years. So I was in college and I made her a mixtape and actually recorded a bunch of different songs. And I called the mixtape "Seek the King," and it was your song.
Oh, really?
So I think I still have that tape. So there's got to be. I can't remember if I recorded the song myself or if I had you. Anyway, I'll have to go back and look at it. So anyway, that's a great story. It's a great story. So you just chickened out. You didn't play it. Okay.
Chickened out. Never did. Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit more about your songs and how you write them. But what's your favorite like musical performance experience where you're the 70,000? Obviously, that's amazing. But like, have there been moments when you were doing that thing and it just, I mean, I have these moments and I don't log them anywhere. I don't really remember them necessarily. Yeah. But there's certain ones I'm like, wow, that was amazing. Was there ever an event or a conference or something you can remember that's like when you're singing it, it just really works? Yeah.
The one that just came to my mind was in my parish back in, I live in New Providence in New Jersey. Right. And our Lady of Peace church, the pastor there asked me if I would do a mission for the parish, like a 3-night mission. And so what I did was it was kind of I did a process of like, it was like my personal testimony. It was
you were speaking and singing. It wasn't just music. Yeah,
speaking and singing. I always had a guitar on me then, but speaking. And it all kind of culminated in the third night where we did a Eucharistic adoration and benediction, the whole thing. And what happened was the confirmation students, who had really nothing to do with the whole thing that I did, that they were just finishing up some sort of a thing in another area of the church, and they brought them all in. So they brought in like maybe 60, 70 kids. And then all the people that came to the so
just for those of my listeners that maybe don't know, a Eucharist adoration is like, I think we talked about it in my story, but it's where the Eucharist, which is the host from the Mass, what looks like bread, and just kind of spending time in worship with the host. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Keep going.
So I got up on the altar, facing the monstrance, or whatever.
Yeah, the monstrance is the vessel, sure, that holds the Eucharist. Yeah.
Just me, just surrounded by all these people. Most of them I didn't know at all. It wasn't like a bunch of all sympathetic, like where you're singing with your community and everybody's all around.
Yeah, this was a crowd they didn't know you. Yeah.
Including the kids, including right across from me.
And how old are these kids? Like 13, like 8th grade?
13, 14, something like that. And somehow, just in the singing and in the worship, the Spirit just like flowed. And I saw these kids with their eyes closed singing, and all these people behind me. And I just felt like I was like literally in the courts of heaven. Like something just really flipped. Some sort of, and it was just overwhelmingly deep. Where you're just like you're fighting the whole time, like breaking into tears. But you got to lead people in singing.
So I've heard many people describe the experience of God like that, and like it's very hard to describe. Maybe it's like a warmth or a close. To talk a little bit more about how that felt, even though you said it. I mean, if you could just describe it again, like playing music. Obviously, you're in front of people. You're seeing what's happening, but what's happening inside of you? Are you feeling? Yeah. What are some more emotions there?
There's a couple of things. One thing that definitely happens is the music itself just does something inside that resonates in your spirit, in your body, and your
resonates is a great word.
Your molecules, it just, and there's something that like I always experience it. Kind of get this kind of like tingling in the back of my head.
Like when people say goosebumps come up on their arms.
Yeah, exactly. It's like my hair stands on end almost. Like it's like holy crow, and that was happening. But then there's the music itself, and it's literally it's just a guitar. It wasn't like we were.
There's no full band or anything. Yeah,
right. No orchestra, no nothing like that. Just the guitar, and somehow the fullness of the sound gets even more, and your emotions just kind of gets pulled on into it, and the emotions kind of they bounce around like you're going through like you want to jump around and celebrate and skip around and dance, and then they're also like kind of more mellow and peaceful, but these are all like surging through you as this whole thing is happening. And in the process of doing it, I'm actually leading this, so I'm singing things that people are following, along with, whether it be a song or just kind of inspired singing. And it's just it just blows you away. I'm sure you've had experiences like that.
Oh yeah.
Where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't ever want to stop doing this. Like I just don't want this to end.
Yeah, I always say to them, I could keep going for like hours in this space. You could just do it forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for describing that. I think, wow. I think I've had a lot of experiences like that, like you said. I liked what you said about resonance. I don't know if I talked about this in my first episode, but I meant to, like certain instruments, when you play a certain note, the way the instrument is built, it just comes alive. Like a violin, there's certain notes on a violin, and I'm sure violin players know this, but like there's certain notes on a violin that when you hit them on an open string, the whole violin sort of like starts to resonate, and it has a deeper, richer tone. And I like to use that as an analogy for us as human beings. Like when certain times in life, when, God touches us or something is happening, it's like we just resonate. And that's what you talked about at the beginning of that experience. Like, first of all, the music resonates inside of you. That's an amazing experience. And I think really the people that listen to it, they can tell, right?
Yep. It's not, you're not just listening to something on the radio. There's something happening, something's going on.
Yeah. There's something else happening in the room, in the space, the three-dimensional space that you're in. Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes that actually happens on recordings too. And I'm listening to a certain song but it's different, but live it's different. But I'm saying that same, it's akin to that, maybe saying like
Yes,
sometimes when I'm in the car and I'm hearing a song that I really need to hear, and all of a sudden it's just hitting me and I'm just like welling up and I'm crying, and it's like, it's the same idea, like a resonance, like an emotional resonance that happens, that all of a sudden it's like you see a clear path through all the trees. I don't know. That's the way I
right,
describe it. Like all the trees just
right.
line up and you're like, look, I can see where I'm going. I know this is real. Right?
Yep, I agree totally. And that's something that it seems like to me, like music has a unique power to do. Like music can do that, right? If the right music can do exactly what you just said. There's not many other things on this earth that actually do that, but
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
is
I've been thinking about this a long time, and I was thinking about maybe art, like a beautiful
yeah,
painting. If you went to see, I don't know,
yeah,
some amazing painting in the museum for
yeah,
yourself, you walk in that room and you're like, whoa. And
yeah,
you just stay there, right? That's another thing that's like a cousin of that. Um, and maybe just experiences of love with your family, like your little
yeah,
baby, when your baby's born or something, like, or you
yep,
on your wedding day, like there's just a moment where there's a connection, and it's deep and it's powerful. And these are the moments that we remember, right, in our life. I mean,
yep, absolutely.
and music does that. I mean, music can create those moments for people.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we're blessed. We're blessed to be able to do this, aren't we?
It is. And honestly, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah,
yes, we are blessed to be able to do it. And
yeah,
it's such a blessing, but I think it's just a blessing to have music as a human being.
yeah,
Like every human
yeah,
being is blessed with being able to experience that. Because of course there's the person who's doing it, right? And then there's the person that's experiencing it. So you were talking about the kids in the confirmation people, in the Catholic faith, we have this kind of ritual called confirmation where young people sort of take on their faith for themselves. It's sort of like almost like a coming of age sort of thing. And but I mean, it's a big part of our faith, and of course, a part of it's kind of connected to our baptism, which is when early in life, usually the priest pours water over us and basically invites us into the family of God, into that relationship. And so confirmation is obviously a big deal, but a lot of times for confirmation, you're not really that engaged. I wasn't. I remember being like, whatever, we're just doing this ritual thing. It's a Catholic thing.
yep,
I don't know. My parents want me to do it, so I guess I'll do it. But
yep.
but you saw a transformation. Talk about that. Like, what did you could tell in their body language that something changed, or what was the
Yeah. Oh my
vibe? What was
gosh.
the
Yeah.
vibe?
They all came in, the usual kids like walking in, like hitting each other and goofing around,
Yeah.
but some sort of a seriousness fell over all of them. And I actually was trying to like repeat this one. I forget what the song was, something like "Holy Are You, Holy Are You," and at one point I looked over and I saw all of them singing it, and I was like, boy, because they were probably kids that were just forced to be there. They were, I
Sure.
don't want to judge.
Yeah,
them,
they were forced to be there. I mean, that's
their motives. There's
typical.
probably a good chance that they were, but they were just so into it. I was like, wow, that was the Holy Spirit at work.
Well,
So
another line that comes up in my mind is singing is for those who love.
yeah,
St. Augustine has a line. He has the famous line, praying twice, which is the name of our podcast.
yeah,
He who sings prays
yeah.
twice. But there's another quote from him that I love, which is called "Singing is for one who loves," meaning like you don't sing something unless something's happening inside of you. I mean,
That's
maybe
right.
you sing happy birthday, happy birthday to, because, someone's there and you love them. And so you're going to sing, or you
Yeah,
sing for your favorite sports team, the fight song, or I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah,
There's other sort of ritual or cultural songs. But if you're going to sing, like in that context, especially if these kids didn't even know the song, like
yeah,
there's something happening
yeah,
there. You don't just take
yeah.
the average 13-year-old and have them sing for you.
Oh yeah.
This does not
Even if
happen.
they're singers, even if they're singers, like we were talking about, you and I are both singers now, but we
Yeah.
didn't want to sing for 13 years old,
No,
But
most people don't want to sing in front of other
yeah,
people naturally.
yeah,
I mean, unless they're really used to doing it. And then of course it comes really well. And it's
yeah.
interesting, your dad, like did your dad sing in public and stuff like that? Or?
Yeah, I think he kind of, he doesn't talk about it much, but I think he was part of like a doo-wop group back in the 50s,
Okay.
All the
Like he was one of the Dion's guys,
yeah, right. Greased hair, the whole
Yeah.
deal. Yeah.
But he did sing. But yeah, I mean, I'm just saying like your dad would sing to the songs in the safety of your home
Yes.
with people that
He
you
wasn't
knew. People that you knew.
exactly
Singing in front of other people is different, isn't it? I mean,
right.
this seems obvious, but like it's good to think about it. Like singing in front of people that you don't know
Yeah.
is really putting yourself out there. It's
It's a
amazing. It's a
yeah.
big vulnerability thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, it's true. I
Most
still
people don't want
experience
to do it.
No, I still experience it when I'm up, like, I sing a lot in just normal church every Sunday,
Yeah.
and as when I'm a cantor, it's just me singing with, all these other people watching me. And you like, was I a little flat? Was I sharp? Things like that. So there's always that, like being out in public, that you have to kind of
Well, I think
overcome.
if we dig into that, and we have to take a break in a few seconds, not a few minutes.
Yeah.
If we dig into that a little bit, it's because of the vulnerability of singing that
Yeah.
we feel like that. In other words, I was saying singing is for one who loves, right? And you're not always going to show all the affection for someone you love in front of other people, right?
No, it's true. Yeah.
If with at a party with your parents when you're a kid and your mom gives you a big kiss on the cheek, you're like, Mom, stop, but you might do that. She might do that when you're sick, and
Yep.
you would welcome that. So it's like in
Right.
the safety of your home, you're okay with expressions of affection. There's a sort of natural safety there, right? This is interesting though, because when you sing in front of other people, I'm just trying to draw that analogy out. So you're not going to show a lot of affection in public. I mean, some people do, but for the most part, you don't. You don't do a lot of affection stuff in front of other people because there's something sacred about that, right? Why does that make us vulnerable? In other words, we can understand with affection and stuff like that, but just why do human beings feel vulnerable when we sing in front of people? Like you're thinking, what, am I flat? Am I sharp? But I mean, that really doesn't matter that much, I guess, if you know what you're
Right.
doing. Like, why are we so
Yep.
vulnerable? It's an interesting question.
It's
Any
true.
thoughts on that?
It is. I think one of the things is, one, you're in public, so even speaking in public is tough. But two, the when you sing, there's an expression of emotion that comes out in you. It's an expression of what's inside of you. No matter
Yeah.
what you sing. I think if you're singing something fun and happy, there's a fun and happiness coming out of you, right? There's an emotion that comes along with that song. If you're
Right.
singing something that's beautiful and meditative, like you kind of have to put yourself into it to make it so. So there's a piece of you that's now getting thrust in front of this congregation,
And you feel
that,
like naked, sort of.
you do, yeah, you can. But part of us, part of you ends up, if it's a blessing and a gift to you, you actually love that part. Like you love, like artists do, they love to have people see their art, like that you want to see, you want
You do
people
and
to
you
see,
don't.
like,
I understand. Yeah.
yeah.
Kind
But
of
then you
scared,
can,
but you also want it. Yeah. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
it's an amazing human experience to be able to create music and to lead people in singing. It's just unbelievable,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we take a break, I'm gonna have you. We're gonna replay a recording that you did earlier yesterday of a song you wrote, and let's
Okay.
talk a little bit about that song. It's interesting. I was thinking about this podcast, having you on, and I was really excited. And I've been talking to my wife, and we were up late one night. She wasn't feeling well, and your song of a Servant, came into my mind because it was something where this song is just really amazing. I honestly, when you talk about leading worship and doing it live, I haven't seen you do that many times. Probably, a long, long time ago. But
Yeah.
the songs you've written, I've experienced for years, and I
Mm.
still experience, and I still sing. You have a lot of great songs that you've written. I don't consider myself a great songwriter. I think I do a good job. I think my songs are nice, but I just don't think that's my special gift. I think singing live is really my special gift. And maybe God will convince me otherwise. I'm pretty self-conscious. But anyway, your songs, there's a real purity to them. There's a real honesty to them. Can you talk a little bit about Song of a Servant, which everyone's going to experience in a few minutes, but can you just talk about where that song came from and how you wrote it?
Yeah, sure. I wrote it when I was in college, and I heard a talk from somebody who was talking about serving the Lord and being basically his personal servants, like doing exactly what he wants us to do. And if he wants us to do this, we go there, we go do it. If he wants us to go over there, we go over there.
Yeah.
And then I think you mentioned the trilogy recently in one of your podcasts, the Samwise Gamgee, excuse me, who was the servant of Frodo.
Right.
I had just read it for the first time, the Lord of the Rings, and just what Samwise did for Frodo, all the stuff he went through to serve him like faithfully to the end, inspired me to take the message of that talk and then the message of Samwise and put it together.
So this is a Tolkien-esque song. Yeah. So what you're saying?
It is. Yes, it started with Sam. Yeah.
Wow, I never knew this. Yeah. This is so great.
Yeah,
so tell me, the words, a little bit about the words and stuff.
Yeah. So show me where to live, O Lord, and I'll live. Show me where to die, and I'll die. Show me what to do, and I'll do it right by your side. I will live and die for you. It's basically whatever you want, anything, whatever you want, Lord. What you tell me, and I'm going to go there. That's kind of the message I hoped to, bring forth with
I'm
the
going to
song.
ask you a challenging question. Do you believe that?
Yeah.
Do you do that?
Go wherever he wants.
Yeah. I mean, that's a radical idea. I mean, I'm just saying,
No,
like, I don't want to, I'm not calling you out. I'm just saying, like,
no.
Wow.
Yeah. But
Who does that?
Sometimes,
like,
yeah, sometimes the songs and sometimes, the scripture, they're all what we really, really are aspiring to do. There's no question. And the things we write about, like, are really like what we aspire to do and all that. But we're not good at it always, because we're not perfect. And if you were to say to me, I mean, I could easily say to you that is the way that I think, right? That is the way I am driven. But I definitely don't live that way every day. And I try. I mean, I try my best. But, there's so much other stuff around us, right? That sometimes, I don't know. Sometimes, actually, in doing all that other stuff, we probably are doing exactly what God wants us to do, right? We are going where He told us to go, and we are.
I just love this. This is so great. I'm sorry to interrupt you. We have to take a break here so we can show the song. But I wanted to say, like, it reveals a lot about who you are as a person. I have the same aspirations, and I do want to talk after the song about the idea of kingship, because I think we don't in America really understand this song or you're about to hear. This idea of, I'm going to be obedient to someone above me who I trust completely.
That's true.
That does not happen in the world. I mean, we don't have bosses we trust completely. We don't have, political figures we trust completely. We don't have people in our community, or even the priests sometimes we don't trust completely. It's a very, very unique thing. And I think in the Bible, there's definitely references to this. And it's you can hear that language of kingship and being a servant of a king. But we don't really have a parallel experience that we can compare that to as Americans, just living in our culture the way we are. So without further ado, let's just listen to the song. This is Bob pre-recorded him singing Song of a Servant.
I now declare my allegiance to you, O Lord. My life and my will at your service, my God. Where you go, I will go, and you lead the way. My God, I will live and die for you. Should it be the last breath I take, oh Lord, I will use it to sing a song of praise to you. Should it be my last drop of blood, I will shed it for you. My God, I will live and die for you. I now declare my allegiance to you, O Lord. My life and my will at your service, my God. Where you go, I will go, and you lead the way. My God, I will live and die for you. Show me where to live, oh Lord, and I will live. Show me where to die, oh Lord, and I'll die. Show me what to do, and I'll do it by your side. My Where you go, I will go, and you lead the way. My God, I will live and die for you. At the sound of your voice, Master, I will obey. I will watch every motion you make with open eyes. May my ears be clear to hear your commands. My God, I will live and die for you. I now declare my allegiance to you, O Lord. My life and my will at your service, my God. Where you go, I will go, and you lead the way. My God, I will live and die for you. For you are my God. For you are my God.